Who does Detonation play against? Sorry.
If they
win
the whole group, they play. Yeah, if they win the whole group, that will.
If Detonation win the whole group, I'll detonate my house. I'll blow the whole thing up. TNT underneath the building, Minecraft style. This shit's going to the roof. I'll detonate for Detonation. They're not winning the group. That's a safe bet.
If they win,
episode 173. And I've made the biggest mistake. I've made the biggest mistake possibly of my career since the crew are not going to go on a run. I wasn't co-streaming it, but we've just come off getting our brains melted by Detonation Focus Me, and my house may be about to explode. I can't believe that happened, though.
Yeah? Got to start the countdown for your house, man. It's on watch for sure.
Dude, they played so well. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
No,
they look like a different team.
It was so, and that's I think the cool part. Obviously, we'll get to it, but it was just impressive, right? Like it wasn't a fluke. Like it wasn't anything like that. Just
I'm hoping it was a fluke, William. I'm hoping it was a fluke.
No, it was not a fluke.
Prime, let's dig in then to the T1 losses this week, and the Paper X game I thought was going to be one of the big ones that we were talking about, but who the hell cares about that game?
I just woke up
DFM.
And I got slapped in the face with a DFM win. I haven't even had time to watch the game because I'm on a different time zone to the rest of you. You all need to explain to me what happened because you said it's not a fluke. You said it's not. No. It wasn't just some like inconsistent factors. They were actually playing really well.
Yes, they were playing real well. I mean, it was a combination of everything, and I think that's why it's so hard to believe. Is that it was very clear that not only did they seemingly anti-T1 very hard, which I think that was very apparent. But then on top of that, like they were trading for each other. They were always covering each other's angles. No one was overheating ahead of the team. Like there were mistakes. I'm not saying it was like 100% the cleanest game we've ever seen, but they were working as a team, which is the least of anything we could have said about DFM's past iterations. And this was across an entire best of 3. And they also, what impressed me the most was they didn't lose control when they were close to winning it all. Like that's also not easy to do. So
yeah, not just that, they actually came back on Ascent. Like their Ascent win was them being able to come back from being down. I think it was 9-5 because the first half was 7-5 and then they lost pistol, right? So and then they just kept winning on defense. They never let it get to them. They never choked the comeback. They just continued to put up good defensive rounds over and over and over again. T1 looked really good on Lotus. They continue to look good on Lotus, but like. The first and third map were DFMs. It was. I was getting panicked watching it.
Yeah, I saw you in chat panicking. I saw the panic typing. So, I mean, even Ascent, I would go and say that T1 played pretty well there. That's the thing. I honestly reckon, like, I reckon pretty much every team that played against DFM first time seeing it on Ascent, I think they would have beaten everyone. I really do. I think I think it looked so good. I was just like surprised. There was just new stuff coming out. Everything had a plan, especially like anything to do with ults. If they had an ult, if the enemy had an ult, it just had a solid plan. And the biggest improvement that we've seen.
Nothing like that. They created their own playbook entirely. And it's just really, really impressive. I mean, I'm glad all the things that Sluggy mentioned, because we were like pecking up everything. Everything was a new idea. It was their own variation. Also, I mean, obviously the composition itself, right? Not using the jet and moving on to the race, things like that, playing to their strengths for sure.
Yeah, and even T1 like playing to the disadvantages of the comp. Like I'm just seeing Sire just go over towards middle all the time because they can't clear him out with like a drone or a recon. So it's not like T1 played bad against it at all. They were even trying to exploit the fact that they had no server and it was just essentially just a KO. So,
this is really where the comeback began. DFM played an all right attack half. I think they really picked it up towards the end of their attack half, but it wasn't anything really lighting the world on fire. And to me, this is where the snowball really kicked off.
This camera is just so nice though. This camera to spot legs, like every team is gonna copy this camera. The amount of info that it gets, because this round is just so sick. So this guy just fully sends it in. He's in a lot of util, so he just tries to get a kill. But this is what impresses me the most. The fact that like this is so coordinated and they save the Cypher cage, like the Cypher doesn't panic. KO flash in and they save the Cypher cage for this. So it's just so good. Like the Cypher's back of sight lets them take the space, and then it's just all the util around that one push, and it's just so well organized. I was just, man, I watched this and I was like, damn, that was like really impressive. You rarely see like a Cypher save that cage. Normally it's when they're coming in, they'll just pop it to delay and then take some jaws. This is just making the most out of every bit of util. It was so nice to watch.
What I loved is that they were taking concepts that other teams have used, but they weren't copying them. They were adding their own variation to what was going on. That is sick. That is a sign of a team that's going to go places, because they're not just having to wait for other people to come up with good ideas and yoink them. They're actually putting their own twist on everything that's happening. There were another 2 rounds as well. Listen, let's just make this a little VOD review session, man. Because round 18 was nuts too. They've got this anti-KO setup that you were popping off about, Sliggy, as well.
Yeah, so it's essentially just the Cypher over towards A, and there's a trip that he Cypher over towards A, but he has a trip on B, and then same with Viper over towards B, but has the smoke over towards A that you would normally see Omens do, and it still works a little bit better with Viper smoke because it's just a little bit bigger, so it actually gives the people on like at the top, on top of Plat, it just gives them a better angle. And you see these two here just full util out, because when the KO makes the sound of his ult, essentially they have a time to just throw their util.
Perfect pause in the round.
Yeah, perfect pause in the round. So the ult comes out, they'll nade, they flash with the Omen, and then literally just the Viper smoke just gives them cover. So you can either play in it, play at the back of sight, and then the people top of heaven just have like free jaws. They can just take one-on-ones. It's very impressive.
This round was where Saya and Isu, I think it was, just sent it into hell, though. You watch their pathing, T1. They don't really take a pause here, thinking about the fact that the orb is up and that's a bad time for them. They just wrap Jenny and they run into the back of sight here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they kind of just get melted. You watch it in the replay as well, and there's really no hope that they were winning that attack round.
Yeah, so they played this anti-KO setup 3 times, and they won every single round. They played it once when the KO was 1 away for an orb, just come take the orb, but that's how confident they are with it. Like, most people will be like, okay, let's stop him getting this orb and go aggro. They're just like, this setup is just unreal. It's working in practice, obviously, and they were so heavy reliant on it. And the good thing is they can also just switch it around to do like an opposite version if they started to get antied as well. So yeah, I love to see this, and this defense was just so nice. It really was.
And then round 20, they come out of a timeout, actually, I think it was, from T1, because T1 were trying to figure out how do we not let this map slip away. And immediately DFM are like, nah, we're not going to let you do anything that you've been talking about in the timeout. We're actually just going to run at you. But it was something different. Again, like, I've not seen any team do this kind of setup, because most teams don't play the Raze on the map, I suppose, as well. But this was so well done.
It's like an iteration of the normal flash Omen, like normal flash, and then Omen would just TP and then duel. But they have a better KO flash. Like, he does it from closer, so he can get involved as well and throw some extra util. And they put the nade to get anyone close. It's just very well thought through.
If it's a reaction towards B, you have 2 players over towards B with a pit and a trip inside the trip, so you're ready in case they go for a react on the other side, and all you hit is the like one lurker on the other side of the map. It's so good. Like, they immediately force T1 to play at their tempo, no matter what T1 do in a response to this round, and the execution is so precise.
Yeah, what you just mentioned, though, I think that's where you can really tell that, okay, this wasn't a fluke, right? Because normally, you can have set plays. Like, you can have all the set plays you want. You can have all the ability linking you want to just take over Gelato for 1 round, things like that, and you can find a good timing. But the fact that it's done with extra steps in mind, so that if this timeout comes out a different way, we still got backup, you still have the cam to check for mid, you have all the things to make sure your win conditions are still in line. That's how you know that this team is not messing around. And then the fact that they didn't only win Ascent, right? They still are able to do it again on Sunset, and even on Lotus. I actually think the ideas were all there. It's just that the execution was a bit more lacking, and T1 was much more fundamentally sound because they're so comfortable on that map. But even T1, I heard that in the post-match press conference, they even said, like, even on Lotus, we think DFM had better reads than we did, right? So just giving the credit that DFM was full prepped on all of these maps, which I think is a very scary aspect for some of these other teams.